July right through December, we'll be able to mobilize and push the community in the direction that we want them to go.
But there's not very much to show before we get to close to the August time period. And about that time, we can come out with what we found in the feasibility study. Yeah. And that's really the first time that there's something kind of to grab onto and to observe. Right now, the architect is gathering information, starting the process. It's an inventory. There's not very much to show for them. And
so we don't really have any idea of cost either right now. So we need that, I think, to sell it to the community at some point in time. We'll have that information.
But there's also something to be said for actually organizing folks now who actually will support this project in the process. The summertime is extremely difficult to get people organized, but really, when you're ramping up a campaign, whether it's a political campaign, well, this is a political campaign, whether you're doing that, to elect somebody or to push something forward in a special election, we need to get people involved so that they can actually organize their efforts in the fall. Because to me, the fall is when we're really going to push this.
And
yeah.
To your point, Karen, my thought is, if you want to hit the ground running in August, you'd really want to get a commitment from people, because even during the summer, as they're meeting up with friends and going to the beach or having social opportunities with people from other communities that have had successful projects like this, you could still be investigating or gathering intelligence on how they were successful, bringing the community together and how they educated the community. So I'd still say that if you can get a group of people to commit to that type of intelligence, it would be helpful.
That's a good point. I think maybe what we'll do at the June 6th, we are getting ready to what at the June 6th town meeting. Maybe what we'll do is put out a request at that point in time for people who are interested in supporting the project to get in touch with the maybe should come to the secondary school building meeting, the next meeting, and see what we can do. We just do need to be careful of not having enough information to give to people at this point in time. It's a little difficult. So, but that's a good point. And I think the town meeting is a good time to do that as well. Okay? All right, next on the agenda, we have the middle school principal search timeline update. And I'm going to ask the superintendent to give us that.
Thank you. In your packet, there is a revised timeline for the middle school principal search. I can tell you that the search is progressing according to schedule. Interviews for 6 candidates took place on May 17th and 19th, and 2 finalists did emerge. I'm going to pass out now an announcement to you, since we just confirmed as of this morning with the last finalist. This is the first time that we are announcing who the 2 finalists are. I'd like to tell you that we received 39 applications, 6 candidates were interviewed, 2 finalists were selected. Miss Lisa Durkee is one of the finalists. She's currently the upper school associate principal for the Donald Timoney Grammar School in Methuen, Mass, and has held this position from August 2006 to the present. Prior to this role, for grades 5 through 8 in Methuen, she has held positions as assistant principal and special education administrator in the town of Boxford, and she was a special education teacher in the Georgetown Public School system. She received her master's degree in curriculum and instruction from Lesley University and a certificate of advanced graduate studies in ed leadership from Cambridge College. She will be visiting the North Reading Middle School on June 6, 2011. Our second finalist is Miss Catherine O'Connell. She's currently the assistant principal of the Parker Middle School in Reading, Mass, and she has held this position from February 2009 to the present. She's also self-employed, or just recently stopped being self-employed, as a literary editor. Prior to her position as assistant principal, she was a grade 6 social studies teacher in Reading and a social studies teacher department chair at the Livingston High School in Livingston, Illinois. She has earned her certificate of advanced study in education from Salem State University, and she's currently enrolled in a doctoral program at the University of Massachusetts Lowell with a focus on leadership in schooling. She will be visiting the North Reading Middle School on Thursday, June 9th. I'd like to bring your attention to the timeline. I have added some additional activities to the timeline that were not there previously. I'd like you to know that on the 2 days that the candidates are visiting the middle school, there will be an opportunity for a public session from 2:30 to 3:30 in the afternoons of those dates I gave you for members of the public to come in and have informal conversations and a question and answer period with each candidate. We will be facilitating that as well. In addition to the site visits to North Reading Middle School, there's a group of individuals that will be visiting the schools for where these people are currently employed. So I will be attending the site visit, our Director of Academic Services, a parent representative, and a teacher representative that sat on the interview committees will be attending with me. The dates for those are May 27th, the group will go to Reading, and on June 2nd, the group will go to Methuen. There will be additional administrative interviews on June 14th, and I will have a couple of administrators join me for some last questions that we may have following the site visits. I would like to tell you that those that attend the public sessions will be able to provide feedback to me via email. I will have a form for that so that they can provide their perceptions and their ideas to me regarding each of the candidates. That information will also be taken into consideration. And it is my intent to make a recommendation for the next principal around June 15th. So those are the events leading up to the selection of the next middle school principal, and I'd like to thank all of the members that participated both on the screening committee as well as the interview committee, because their work was very thorough and very much appreciated in informing this process. And Dan was one member of the interview committee, and there were many others. We had 9 people on the interview committee. I was the 10th person, and they did a really nice job coming up with our 2 finalists.
Thank you. Any questions of the superintendent?
I have a question.
Yeah.
How, can you explain the process of evaluating the school's performance part of this evaluation process?
Which school's performance?
The schools that the applicants were part of, or are still coming?
Well, what we'll do is we will meet with a variety of groups when we go on the site visit. So we'll meet with groups of teachers and faculty. We will meet with students. We will meet with parents, and we will take a tour of the facility. We'll have an opportunity to speak with central office administrators all about these individuals' performances in their current roles and what they would bring to the principalship.
And what about just the hard numbers, you know, whether it's MCAS scoring or any other kind of hard numbers of how students are performing within their district?
We do take a look at that, but again, these 2 individuals serve in the assistant principal's roles, but we will have conversations with them around their impact. During the interview process, we asked very direct questions about instructional leadership and what were the ideas of these individuals that were interviewed regarding moving the North Reading Middle School forward. So we've already started that process and started collecting that information.
Okay, anything else, Superintendent? Okay, thank you, Kathy. Next on the agenda is the middle school dismissal procedure update. We had done a trial with changing the procedures for the dismissal of the middle school, and I can ask the superintendent for a report on that.
Yes, in your packet there is a letter from Mr. Fauché, middle school principal, regarding the trial period on the change in the dismissal time, and it was overwhelmingly positive. He was able to provide some data to me regarding information that he collected from parents informally through a variety of emails. And because the response was overwhelmingly positive, he would like to and is planning to continue this new dismissal time of 2:21 from now to the remainder of the school year. By dismissing at 2:21, we're not holding students in classrooms waiting for buses to arrive. So by waiting 5 extra minutes, the old dismissal time was 2:16, to the current dismissal time of 2:21, more buses have a chance to arrive, and all students are dismissed at the same time, and that's the way we do it in our other 3 elementary schools as well as at our high school. There is no impact to the dismissal time at the 3 elementary schools. As you know, we have a tiered bus system, so we were conducting this trial to make sure that there was no additional impact to the other students arriving home at a reasonable time. So they're very pleased, and I would like to continue this. This is for your information. And we'd like to continue this next year as well. So what I'm passing to you now, I'm sorry, I gave you the wrong one, is the school calendar. No changes to the school calendar, but you may recall when I gave this to you earlier, there were no school hours at the bottom of the page. The school hours have now been added, as well as the reorganized school committee at the top of the page, so that you can see that your positions are there. And this now will be published for our public, so that they know the start and stop times. There's no change to the elementary start and stop times. The Batchelder School will again be the late start school for the second year. I believe it's a 2-year rotation. And then the Hood and the Little will both be the early start times at the elementary. Any questions?
Any questions? Anyone? Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is the superintendent's evaluation. We have an evaluation subcommittee that's done a lot of work in putting together not only an evaluation form, but some standards and criteria that we need to look at. It's essentially based on the goals that we set for the superintendent earlier this year. So everybody was asked on the committee to fill out an evaluation form and submit it tonight. The plan is that Karen will collect the evaluation forms, and she is going to review them and try to put together an aggregate of all 5 evaluations into a single summary of the evaluation. And at some point, whether it's the next meeting, it may probably be the next meeting, we will in fact make the evaluation public. So that's going to happen in the next meeting, and again, it's going to be based on the evaluation forms that we're all handing in tonight. Anybody, any questions on that?
Well, so the next meeting, I understand, we'll have the composite document, but all of these individual documents are also public if anybody asks to see them, right? I just want to...
Yes,
okay.
That's correct.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I want to wish the superintendent the best of luck. Although I don't think she did. Any other questions about that, about the evaluation process? Custodial contract. I'm going to ask Kyle and Kathy, but I think Kyle's the one that did the work, a lot of the work on this, to review the terms of the custodial contract, which we have signed, and I believe the union has signed a memorandum of understanding on this particular agreement.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes, the union and, of course, as acting as chair, Mr. Venezia has signed the memorandum of agreement. What I'd like to do is summarize the high points of the 3-year extension to the AFSCME-based custodial employee group contract. This is a 3-year contract that will begin on July 1st, 2011 and run through June 30, 2014. I would also say, prior to providing a summary, that this was a tough but a fair negotiation. I think as a group we're appreciative of the association for the manner in which these negotiations were conducted. These are tough times, and I think all parties understood that. I think we've come away with a fair contract. To begin with, the increase to pay over the 3-year period will be at 1.75% per year. So for 3 successive years, the salary schedule increases by 1.75%. We also are implementing a change in the sick leave distribution for newly hired employees. For any employee hired after July 1, there will be a reduction in the amount of sick days they can receive upon retirement from 33% to 20% with a 150-day maximum. So this is a major change to the sick leave process. In addition, there are major changes to the sick leave bank. Members in the public are probably familiar with what sick leave banks are. They are mechanisms whereby existing employees can donate personal sick days to a pool that are made available to those who might petition the sick bank for those days should they be involved in an accident or a major illness. There are much stricter criteria for all employees that will go into effect on July 1st. Another change to the contract involves seniority. It actually involves the probationary period. Presently, new custodians are hired with a 3-month probationary period,